Welcome, everyone, to another installment of Hidden Variables. This is the podcast where we visit with really interesting people who are making a difference in our world, but that you may not have heard about maybe, or maybe you've heard about them, but there's a lot of secret sauce in there that you don't know about that you're going to find out. Today's guest is one of my best friends. I hate to just do that, but she is. She's just a person of my life who I love. Her name is Melissa Cain. She goes by Mel. And let me just tell you a little bit about Mel because she's amazing. Mel's motto for this incarnation is to serve others and have a great time doing it. For most of her adult life, Mel has enjoyed a dynamic career in Chicago media and business ownership. But after her awakening in 2016, her passion became helping people to discover the divinity within themselves and service to others. For decades, she juggled family and career while trying to squeeze in volunteer efforts for issues that strongly resonated with her, such as homeless animals, humans in hospice, and displaced refugees. However, not long after her awakening, it became abundantly clear that it was time to fully integrate her calling of service to others and spiritual growth into her daily life. And in 2019, she started hosting events at her business to help people wake up to their true nature and expand their consciousness. Her journey began with the study of CE5 contact work. CE5 means Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, but soon expanded to the power of the breath, energy manipulation, sacred plant medicine, mediumship, ritual, ceremony, telekinesis, dowsing, magic, and so much more. She started to understand deeply that each of these modalities are a beautiful gift to all of humanity. They're a key to saving our species and planet. And voila, Contact Modalities Events was born. She considers it her sacred honor and duty to create a most loving, compassionate space for these modalities and blessings to be received by all who seek it. In 2019 and 2020, Mel worked with investigative journalist Paula Harris and her Starworks USA conference. In 2021, Mel was invited to appear in the award-winning documentary Alien Abduction Answers, which was filmed at the mini resort she and her husband own and operate in northern Wisconsin. Mel is a doting wife, a mommy of 3 little humans, 2 kitties, and a pooch. So without further ado, welcome to Melissa Cain. Mel, thank you for being with us today. We love having you here.
Thank you so much, Debs. It's a long time coming now.
It is, but it's the perfect time, isn't it? I'm so glad you're here.
It is. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled.
So that's a lot. You have packed so much into the last really 11 years. But when we trace it back, since I know you better than most of the audience does, it goes back all the way through your life, of course, and beyond. But this last 10, 11 years has been really a kind of a whirlwind transformation for you, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
So I want to just ask you, like, how did this all start for you? Can you tell the audience? Because I know people will relate to this.
Well, it's funny because when people say, wow, they say, oh, you had a spontaneous awakening in 2016. They're like, what? Did the mothership land in your backyard? Or did you have a near-death experience? Or, did you run into Bigfoot? And I'm like, no, it was actually kind of unremarkable. I was sitting on my couch in Illinois with my family. My kids were little at the time and my husband. It was like a Sunday night and we're watching one of the, bazillions of, ancient alien type shows on cable. And usually at that point, my husband would never let me, never be interested, let's say, in watching those kind of programs, because he was
Mm-hmm.
like hardcore skeptic at the time. And
Oh.
but I always had kind of a lifetime of interest in that kind of stuff because my grandparents lived half of the year in New Mexico and in Arizona. So I grew up with
Mm.
them telling me about their sightings. They would see
Wow.
cigar-shaped craft flying along their cars in broad daylight, and never thought much anything of it. Just said, "Oh yeah, we saw some kind of weird thing." So I always knew that there was something going on out there growing up, and I had these weird experiences as a child where I would wake up in the middle of the night, but I wouldn't be fully awake, and I called them my fast dreams.
Mm.
And they were very terrifying, and I didn't know what they were at the time, and my parents would be trying to wake me up, and basically what they were was it would be like these screens, these visions flying through my vision, and they were just moving so fast I couldn't slow them down.
Wow.
And but there was this horizontal line that would always be there during these visions,
Mm.
and when the line was straight, I was safe. When the line would crinkle up, it was somehow tied to my breath, and I felt like I was
Oh.
dying. So my parents would be waking me up, and long story short, those happened for many years. Never realized what they were until now, and I realized it was some sort of contact that I was
Mm.
having, but I was so afraid of it, I wouldn't let myself go. And that kind of theme actually runs through my life now.
Mm.
But in 2016, as I was watching this cable program with my family, something clicked.
Wow.
And I saw one of those NASA videos, there was showing, something from the space station or something. And I just went back quietly into another room and started researching on my phone. And I just couldn't believe. And from that moment till today, all I do is consume, research, read, watch, anything has to do with this journey I've been on. And it's completely changed my life.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, to go from having what sounds like nightmarish panic attacks in the middle of the night as a child and not understanding anything to literally being the progenitor of beautiful contact retreats and now a huge expo that's coming up, featuring all kinds of modalities to help people make contact. What was the turning point? What happened? Just that awakening, just that little video
That
kind of
little
set off your
video,
timing mechanism.
that was it. So as soon as I
Wow.
started researching, I almost immediately ran into Dr. Stephen Greer and
Mm-hmm.
his movie Sirius, which was 3
Mm-hmm.
years old at that time. He had the other one, Unacknowledged or something, coming out soon thereafter. But I think
Right.
I watched that movie a couple days into this awakening,
Oh,
and
wow.
I could not believe my
Yeah.
eyes.
That's
I
pretty
made my
compelling.
husband watch it immediately. I'm like, what? What? I couldn't believe people were actually making human initiated contact with extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to explore this. So I immediately started researching these groups that were doing this, and I ran into a group in Michigan, and found Kim Porth,
Mm-hmm.
who
Yeah.
leads a group in Michigan, and she's been doing contact work, I think, since 2013 or something like that. And I reached out to her, not expecting anything. I figured, whatever. I'm reaching out to her on social media. Of course, she's probably going to ignore me. Boom, immediately she gets back to me.
Yeah.
She was super eager to help and instruct and tell me where to go to look to figure out how to do it. And I couldn't believe this girl was being so kind and so friendly and so helpful. I'm thinking, what does she want to sell me something? Not at all. She was
No.
just really passionate about this mission that she was on with contact. And so she put me in the right, direction so I could start doing it myself. I started doing CE5 solo. It took me about 7 months before I actually saw something that I deemed anomalous. I mean, and this is hardcore medication.
Yeah, well, so maybe some of that too.
Exactly. Hardcore meditation every single day, just really trying so hard. And then finally, I was out of state on a camping trip with my family, and I saw my first flash bulb.
Oh,
Didn't even know. I didn't even remember that that was a thing. So I went back and researched it. And then from that moment forward, the contact has been incredible. My
yeah.
family has all seen things, whether they believe in it or not, with me. Just the other day, I'm filming an orange orb in the sky in Indianapolis, my daughter in her swim meet. And, John's like, all right, Melissa. I'm like, pull over, pull over. He's like, come on, it's 0 degrees out. I'm like, I don't care. Pull over. I'm running outside. It's become quite a part of our life.
Really cool video, by the way. Maybe we can try to show that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. But
so anyway, learning all of that, I think what ends up happening is when you start to discover this true reality, it becomes addicting. And I use that, it's a negative word, but what it becomes is a calling, I should say.
It does. It is a calling.
Yeah. And you start to get deep into it, and it starts to go in other directions. So with this, I had such a change in my perspective about the real world we live in, about the life I had been living, which was in Chicago media. I worked in it in Chicago and Washington, D.C., and I was all about, being a businesswoman and making some money and having the nice house and all these things. And I realized how unimportant that was. And it changed my life. I started raising my children differently. I moved us from Chicago up to north central Wisconsin and, in the boonies, and changed my whole life and the way I raised them. And it's been an amazing journey. So because of that and this gratitude that I've felt, actually, I felt very grateful as a child, but this really intense gratitude for this life I've been given or that I've chosen or whatever it is, a little bit of both. I've really wanted to be able to allow others who might be kind of on that cusp to discover this amazing other world that exists that's more truthful than the world that we're living on, this this superficial world. And that's when I started hosting the retreats.
Man. And
that was in 2019.
Yeah, such a quick while from when you had your awakening. I mean, incredible. And the retreats have been so powerful. They're so riveting. They pull people from all walks of life and make them come into coherence, and great contact is made. And I know because I
was going to say, you've been one of the people there every single year.
Oh my God, it's just so incredible what you have created. It tells me that you came in with a very strong purpose. You had to go through some things and get some of the human stuff kind of out of the way or in your tool belt. But the human things that you were going through, for instance, all the big business, corporate business and everything that, for now probably seems like might have been kind of a drudgery or something you don't care about, are beautiful pieces to help you build the stuff that you're doing now.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. So when you first go through this awakening, you start to reject all this past. That's not me anymore. That's bad. Or, you judge, and you judge yourself, and you judge those people that you were with at the time, and you judge. But as the evolution continues, you start to look back at how important those times were in making you what you are today. If I did not have that 20 whatever years in media, there is no way I'd be pulling this off now. What I'm doing.
Well, no, or you'd be paying
have the know-how
to have somebody else do it,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. When there's a will, there's a way. You're right.
And I think that's something important I want to point out to the listeners, to the viewers, is that you are literally pretty much a one-woman show for most of this stuff. You
just me and my pendulum.
Yep, you and your pendulum. You have all of this stuff going on, and that's where I was leading to. I'm like, some people have a whole board of directors and people that they counsel with. I know you and I talk a lot. We over the years we've brainstormed a lot together, and that's so satisfying to be included in that. But especially for this Contact Modalities Expo, you kind of went into a cocoon. I wondered where you were for a while even.
I know.
And here you were working with your higher self using a message or a method of cogitation that you might call dowsing.
Divination, whatever.
Yeah, divination. Working with your pendulum. Would you talk a little bit about that? Because it is so fascinating. And I do the same kind of thing. So
I know.
I want people to hear about this because it's so riveting to understand once you get it that you have many ways. This is just one, but this is a really easy way if you're a beginner to tap into your own higher wisdom and get really good answers.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's been unbelievable. I still, I'm always in shock and awe about everything that goes on. And I'm always like, what is going on? I have doubt still. You still second guess yourself. But what I found is, so I started branching out. I'm always contact work. CE5 is my core. I love it, But, it's become more than just the shiny lights in the sky for me. Yeah, I still.
I know it. Yeah.
We still love it. But it became a very internal journey, and so, for a while I would take a course on telekinesis, Sean McNamara's course online, and it took me a couple weeks before I could get the little thing to spin. You could see my little setup right here, but I would do that for 6 months or 8 months and prove that it can be done. And then I would go on to, I did a year-long mediumship mentorship course with Julie Adriani, who's amazing.
So good, I know.
And while I didn't ever really plan on becoming a medium or doing anything like that professionally or anything, I just wanted to learn a difference. So, I already got the UFO thing down, so I wanted to look at the spirit thing and deceased loved ones and see what was going on there. And that taught me so much. And it really taught me a lot about how everything's connected, right? A lot of what I was learning with Julie was what I've already learned in my CE5 life. And then I built this beautiful seance cabinet in my office, which has become absolutely incredible for my meditation. So there was so much that came out of that year-long course. It was amazing. But so at some point, I decided I wanted to learn how to use a pendulum or dowsing rods or something. And I mean, this goes back years and years. And anyone who does this will tell you, you're going to get, you don't get 100% answer all the time. You just have to learn. And what you really need to do is surrender and trust. And that has been how about it? Has that been a constant message in everything that we do? Everything
I do. It's the forefront message. Trust with a capital T. You've heard me say it a million times. You get it every time with
everything I do. Everything. Yeah. You have to just surrender and trust. And then pay attention to the little subtleties and, getting in that dowsing state of mind when you're doing it. So after our last retreat, I've always really grasped onto stuff like breath work. Breath work has changed my life. Breath work has taken my meditations and the mentorship, the mediumship course, taken my meditations for 7 years. I'm one of those people that got the monkey mind talking and I can't get into any deep meditation. All of a sudden last summer, thanks to the mediumship course and probably just a lot of practice, I really started to get deep in my meditations. And I would utilize my pendulum, just kind of keep just utilizing it, not really paying attention, but just asking it silly day-to-day questions too. Not just these big, profound, questions, but just little stupid data. What should I wear today? What should I, like today?
Building a relationship.
Right, exactly. It's literally the best friend, best anything you can have because they're honest. It's honest, tells you sometimes what you don't want to hear, but it's always been correct. So after this last retreat, and I do a little cacao ceremony at our retreat. That's like a huge,
awesome.
Thank you.
It's so awesome, guys. I can't even tell you how beautiful it is.
It's such a stretch for me to go out and do something like that because I've never wanted to teach anybody anything. And you and Kimberly and others have said, "Oh, Mel, you should teach this," or, you really love this so much. Why don't you teach it? And I'm like, you know what? I don't really love teaching all that much. I don't know. Maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe I just don't want to dive so deep into it. I don't really know. But after that last amazing retreat that was so incredible, I had a download. I just get information that says, you know what? You don't want to be a teacher, and that's not your superpower. But what your superpower is organizing and putting pieces together and getting people together and getting amazing teachers like yourself and everyone and Kimberly, who's been teaching our retreat, who put the original team together back in 2019. That included you, Jeff Sell, Ricky Butterfass. Who else? Yeah, and you and Kim.
Yeah.
Right?
It was
Marcel.
Yeah. Vidovic. Absolutely.
And basically, I had a message that said, if you can get the venue that you want for this big idea of the expo, then just go for it. Yeah. And I did. I got my first choice, my first choice of venue without a lot of time, without a lot of lead time. So, I chose a venue that really embodied Wisconsin. I didn't want it to be at like a Holiday Inn Express or I didn't want it to be this kind of businessy, airporty, middle of the city,
networking conference kind of thing. Yeah,
nothing. I wanted it to be something that felt Wisconsin. When people arrive, they feel the Midwest. They know it. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place, and it's on a lake, and it's very, lake house themed, and it's got a great vibe. And not to mention that, in 1911, excuse me, they dug up giant skeletons on this very location, and there were actually hundreds of burial mounds on this the 248 acres that this resort sits on. And so there's a lot of history there, a lot of ancient sacredness about this spot. So once I was able to secure that, and then started using my pendulum for literally every small decision, every large decision. And then it just became absolutely clear that there was some other higher power working with me, whether it was my own higher self or some other type of ascended master coming through. But it was just bam, 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 bam.
Well, it's all you anyway, right? They're all you anyway. Can you hold the pendulum up a little bit closer so people can see this? It's like a Merkaba, isn't it?
Yep.
In copper, and then what's
and it's got a malachite stone.
Malachite, okay.
Yep.
Wow.
And this was my original pendulum. Now I have a pendulum. You know how people have chapstick in their car and chapstick in their purse? I have a pendulum in my car. I have one in my purse. I have one at the side of my bed. I have one here at my desk right back here. So I always have that there in case I need to ask a quick question.
It's so cool. And could you describe to people how it works? Like for you, how does it work? Yeah. What's your method?
So basically, you have to get into the dowsing state of mind where you just kind of
theta brainwave state.
Exactly. And I don't spend a lot of time doing that. I just take a few deep breaths, and just relax and exhale. And again, breath work, just another amazing thing.
Always.
And then I just will quickly ask the pendulum, show me yes, and it will show me which way it's going to turn or move for yes. And then after I ask that question, I'll ask the question that I want to ask. And you'll find out that it's always right. I mean, it'll happen, 6 months down the road. One time I asked, should I sell our RV? And it's like, yes. And I was like, oh, I'm not selling it. We're not selling it. Sure enough. What did 6 months later? Yeah. So like little silly questions. But today, but you have to always ask very specific questions. You have to, you can't be really vague because it takes your words literally. So today, before this podcast, I was just sitting there getting ready, and I'm like, should I wear my eyelashes for the podcast? And the pendulum said yes. And I was like, really? Do I look that terrible without without my eyelashes? So of course I re-asked the question, should I wear my false eyelashes
Yeah.
for the podcast? And it said no. So because my original question was, should I wear my eyelashes?
Of course. It's
It was
literal.
saying, yeah, those are part of your eyes, Melissa. You're going to wear your eyelashes.
Don't pluck them out.
Right. So you got to be very
Oh my
specific.
God.
And, I test it. You ask questions in different ways to get the right answers. But one thing I do not ask ever is about, death or dying. I don't ask about, are people getting cancer? I don't go there just because.
Well, not your thing.
Not my thing, right?
Some people specialize in that, and that's their thing.
Yep.
What I love about you is you are continually describing, re-honing, refining who you are and what you are about. And then you really do it and you stick to it until it's time to evolve some more. Some people are all over the place and your efforts can get diluted, but you're a very focused person. You're a very driven person. But what I love about you is you're right down the middle between that and heart driven. You care so much about everyone that you work with. You care about their well-being. You care about, is this going to help them or harm them? Is this going to hold them back, with what you're doing? Like everybody that you involve in these things, myself included, you have people's best interests at heart above and beyond what you started out for. Like a regular business person would say, okay, I want to make X amount of dollars off of this thing. Right. And be rich and famous and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's cool. That's fine. And that may be one of your aspirations. Go for it. But what I've noticed about you is you care about every single person involved in your events, no matter what they are. And how can you best put them in the limelight so that other people will get to know you? That's one of the reasons why I have this podcast. It's the same thing. It's like there are so many people out there doing such great work. And, there's so much static in the world. Mm-hmm. Can we help spotlight some of these things? And you're really, really good at that. So I love that balance about you. Let's talk a little bit about, before we get to the expo, which is really so interesting and so fun to talk about. But let's talk about how all of the methods of contact that you've explored and all of the experience you've had, how have they changed your life? Like, has it changed your family life? Has it changed? How has it affected
100%. I mean, so it really did. It made certain things matter more and it made certain things matter less. And with my family, of course, initially, when they see mom like completely change, I mean, the vocabulary I use is everything, and moving us up to Wisconsin and, everything, crystal skulls and,
even your diet changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. It inspired me to become a vegetarian. Right. Exactly. I forgot about that.
That's a big impact on a family full of growing kids, and a husband, in Wisconsin where it's meat, cheese, and
meat. Well, I am not vegan. I am not. Maybe someday, but I am vegetarian, which meat was a huge part of my life. And now I couldn't. You couldn't pay me. It's just not my thing. And I've always been an animal advocate. And the reason it is, I do choose to be a vegetarian is strictly cruelty reasons, period. The health thing is a great side benefit, but it's all about that. So, and everyone in my house eats meat, so, it's okay. I said, when you grow up, you'll make your own decisions.
That's right.
So it's changed my relationship with them. My husband was like, holy, what happened to my wife?
Yeah.
What is this crazy she's talking about? Literally 24 hours a day, like 24 hours. Because again, it's all, I live and breathe this. But he realized that after the initial shock, he admits wholeheartedly that it has been a change for the better for our family, you know? So I'm like off in the clouds, and John keeps me very grounded. And I've always known that, but even, you know, if I'll talk to the occasional psychic, they will say your husband is your grounding force, you know, and it's
Yes.
so true. Because I am super entrenched in this terrestrial world. I'm a swim mom, figure skating mom, football mom, and lacrosse mom first.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
business owner. We own our little resort up in the North Woods. You know, we have 8 cabins on a beautiful lake, and it's the resort that I actually grew up going to as a 7-year-old from Chicago every July. It was my only vacation for 20 years or something like that. So I'm very, very 3D. You know, I'm here and I have to be in order to be the great mom that I want to be for my kids. But
Sure.
so that's changed everything. It's changed, you know, it's beautiful. And because it's so beautiful and so magical, I just want other people to be able to experience this. Not only because I feel it will enhance their lives, their own personal lives so much, but I feel it's so necessary for our species
It
and
is.
our planet. I mean,
It
that's
is.
more of us having these experiences
Mhm.
will ultimately have that ripple effect, and then we will all eventually, you know, evolve to in this age of Aquarius that we're in right now. And, you know, so as I would try telekinesis and I would work with the pendulum and I would go into the, you know, do all these different things, I realized, you know, so like people like you do a lot. You do,
Mhm.
you know, over the years, you know, you've been a yogi for 50 years. And I mean, more than that, probably, I think
Yeah.
even longer now. So
Yeah.
anyway, you do it all and you master it all. And there's a lot of people that are just, they're in their vein, you know, and they do that and they
Mhm.
perfect it and they teach and they're amazing. I never wanted to get that deep in something. I found that, you know, I was really interested in this. And like you said, I devote a long time to it. But then there'd be
Mhm.
something else that was like really amazing. And throughout all of this, I realized that there's different methods that will resonate with every individual differently. Where
Mhm.
Kimberly is an amazing contact worker and she's a Kundalini teacher and she's brilliant.
Yes,
But
she is.
that may not resonate with somebody else.
Exactly.
So
No.
as I started to have these experiences and realizing that, you know, not everybody is going to like embrace CE5 and have the awakening that way. It might be through
Mhm.
plant medicines. It might be through learning how to remote view. It might be, you know, something else.
Mediumship,
Media,
dowsing. Yeah.
all these different things.
Breath
I was
work.
at a conference, Paula Harris's conference, and I think it was 2018, but Grant Cameron talked for 90 minutes and 100 miles an hour about
I think it's
contact modality.
2019. I was there.
Was that one?
Yeah,
Okay, I
I
was
think
at
it was.
2018 and 2019.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he started talking about the wheel, and that Ray Hernandez, who's speaking at the expo, he coined the
Yeah.
term contact modalities, that all of these different modalities or practices or methods or experiences, they've all been researched separately over the
Yeah.
decades. But what they really are is they're all point to the same phenomena and should be studied the same because they all have similarities. You know,
Yes.
they all, when people experience a UFO experience or they do an amazing breathwork session, it can lead to heightened states of awareness. They can have some sort of spiritual awakening. They
Mhm.
can have some sort of calling or a mission. And of course, they all have some sort of non-human intelligence, whether you want to call it God, whether you want to call it source, whether it's angels, whether it's ETs or interdimensional beings, but there's something that, or your higher self, whatever it is, there's some sort of intelligence that they
Mhm.
connect with. So he started.
Non-local consciousness. It's all the same thing, just different, like humans all look different, but they're all humans, right?
Exactly, exactly. So that's when I had the download to start Contact Modalities retreats, where we offer people, it's a small group thing that we do in northern Wisconsin at my vacation rentals, um,
Mhm.
where we bring in a few different experts, or maybe one or two. It's more of a deep dive experiential retreat. We'll be doing it again in August 25th through 28th,
Okay.
2025. But we get to experience different modalities so people can choose which one resonates with them. Hopefully introducing new things to people that are stuck in their, their
one lane.
one lane, right? Maybe opening their mind a little bit. And then there's a lot of people that just show up who are seekers. They don't know what. They're like drinking from a fire hose, right?
Those are the most fun to watch at these things because their minds are blown,
Oh,
and then see what happens afterwards. Wow.
Exactly.
They take off and start doing their own thing, and it's really cool. And that's what I love about those retreats is all of us involved, you especially, encourage people to take what they've learned and take them to their own neighborhood and start doing the work there, And this is that ripple effect that you were talking about.
Exactly.
Or the Taoists called the butterfly effect. It's the same thing. But and it's phenomenal what happens at these retreats. But tell me how, because you and I are really deeply connected. We went from getting finished with last year's retreat. We started thinking about this year's retreat, and then suddenly you kind of went dark.
I know.
And came up with this Contact Modalities Expo. Now, you had talked about having a conference with me anyway, and just friend talk for a couple of years. And I'm like, but having done event planning and stuff way in my career, I know it takes a couple of years to put that stuff together and be successful. And you have to have a lot of, like maybe patrons giving you capital and all this.
Resources.
Suddenly you come up with this thing, and I'm like, how in the world did you do this? So talk about it a little, because I'm super excited about it.
So after that last retreat, I had that download, as I was talking about a little bit earlier, that, my superpower isn't, becoming a breathwork instructor. It'd be great. I love breathwork. I love participating in it. I love everything about it. I love the different types that's out there, from Kim's Kundalini to Soma Breath to Dan Brule, who's amazing, who's going to be at the expo. I mean, you name it. I love it. But what I realized after the last retreat was my superpower and my greatest joy, and you taught me a lot about that, because, your greatest joys have changed over the years. Your greatest joy is not having the clipboard at the event. No. You know what I mean? You've been there, done that for a long time. Your greatest joy is to teach what you want to
focus on teaching and spreading the information. Right.
Exactly. My greatest joy is offering these offering your teachings, Kim's teachings, and a million other teachings to the masses, because I feel like I'm very 1 foot in still mainstream society, and I'm 1 foot in to this spiritual authentic self thing. That was another thing, I was wearing that dreadlock wig when I was doing the cacao ceremony at the retreat last summer. And, a gentleman that was there, Keith, said, I thought that was you. I thought you were the dreadlock. I'm like, no, this is me. Bleach blonde, soccer mom, swim mom, Thanks, Menica. Menica called me. I just thought you were just this, soccer mom, but you're this badass spirit.
You are a badass.
I'm like, you just call me a soccer mom. That's like my worst nightmare.
I know. But anyway. But you should take it as a compliment, because you're so devoted to your kids.
I am.
And their development. But before we talk a little bit more about the expo, I just have to make this observation. Most people who know you or getting to know you do not know that you have a sacred name, like I have a sacred name. I took a sacred name when I was like 13 from my yogic guru at the time. Do you mind saying what your sacred name is and what it means?
So my sacred name is Melapis Astra, and Melissa, my name in Greek, means honeybee.
Right.
And Melopis is Latin for honeybee. And then Astra, of course, is star.
Star.
So I realized in 2022, I don't know why it took me so long, so my business and my heart and my love, my resort that I grew up going to, is on Big Arborvitae Lake. And Arborvitae means tree of life in Latin.
Yes.
So I chose honeybee, and honeybee being the bridge. It's the bridge between the realms,
between the worlds. Yes.
The ground, the here, and then the heavens. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I took that honeybee star, because cosmic is my jam. But I really take it very seriously that I am trying to be the bridge for these people who are walking on this planet, seeking, curious, need help, need transformation, and introducing them to these different modalities and hoping that they will just take it and run, whichever one resonates with them.
Which is why I asked you to describe it. Thank you for doing it perfectly, like I knew you would, which is exactly what bees do. They go from flower to flower to flower to flower to flower, and they pollinate as they're taking their own nectar, drinking their own joy. They're introducing the pollen of one flower to another flower, and they literally are the key of life on our planet, for the plants, and then the animals, including us, who eat them, use them for medicine and so forth, or for beauty. You often talk about being, you flit around and you dip your toes into different things, and some people are more just really entrenched in one or two things, but you literally are that bee. You go and you suck from many flowers, and then you make the honey that everybody can enjoy. And it just struck me so hard a while ago when you were saying I flit around a lot. I'm like, that's because you're the bee. You really are the bee. And it's the symbol of a shaman, basically.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So back to the expo.
Okay. So anyway, I got back and I realized, the download happened that is my superpower. That's my greatest joy. That is my 100% is when I bring people together to experience the brilliance from the true teachers. Okay. Yeah. And so, I don't consider myself a teacher. I never have. I know you beg to differ, but what I really love is that. And I love the results, and I love to see the transformation right before my very eyes of when they showed up at that retreat and then they left. Just floating. We're all glowing and buzzing for like months after them. So I said, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. And the reason I went dark for a little while is because I really had to process. I wanted no external influences. I wanted nothing. I wanted it to be me and my higher self, my pendulum. And I wanted to just really start hashing this thing out, hashing it out. And at every step I took ended up working out great. And it was really, we have talked about it. A couple years ago, we talked about doing a big one. When I was working for Paula Harris at Starworks, helping her with her big conference, in the back of my mind, I was like, I'd like to do something like this, in Wisconsin, but just never really thought about it too much. But it just hit me that I have to do it. And then it hit me that I just have to surrender and start working. And as things start to, if you're working and the universe conspires to help.
In your joy about the work.
I think you're in your joy, exactly. And it has been an absolute amazing process. I'm constantly in awe on how, when you do learn how to work with the universe, how it
just falls in place, doesn't it?
It's amazing. Yeah,
it's insane. And I have to thank you for that, because about the time you started the process and going dark and being with your higher self, building this expo, I was going through a very dark period in my life. Not that I want to put negativity on that, but it was, let's say, a very challenging period of my life.
For sure.
And I made up in my head that I don't have time to focus on my practice as much as I did. My whole life I've lived this way, and my whole life I've I've lived a really magical life.
Right.
And so we don't want to get into that, but I literally have created so much magic in my life. And then suddenly, boom, the door's shut and I'm faced with all of this stress and strife and lots of hard challenges and decisions to make. And you coming back when you finally when we finally started reconnecting and you're sharing your excitement with me, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, it's come full circle. She's realizing this is, you live your highest excitement, things fall in place. You don't have to make things happen. You have to do the work around it, but you don't have to force it. You don't have to coerce it. It just kind of flows. And immediately, thank you for reminding me, I went back in and I just had to get up an hour earlier and do my practice. Immediately, because my practice, especially the breath work, the meditation, the yoga, brings me to the depth of that ocean where the cosmic divine lives. And it's in all of us. We all have it. But we're paying so much attention to all of this minutia out here, all of the static, all of the things that seem really urgent and relevant. When we turn away from that and just go inside ourselves and surrender and say, okay, I don't know what to do about all this, so I'm just going to sit here for a while in timeout and see what happens. Immediately things started changing, and now, oh my God, I'm on such a roll again, and thank you very much, because I end all my classes by saying thank you for being my great teachers. And that's, you're my great teacher, and especially in this one, because I'm like, oh my God, how could I was still working with clients and students teaching the stuff, but I was trying to do it for myself. I never stopped, but I wasn't paying attention. It was just like 15 minutes, right?
Exactly. Right.
Not enough.
Right.
It's not enough for me. So I have to say thank you for that.
Oh.
And one of the manifestations is I get to be at this expo with all of my heroes.
Oh, I know.
Doing stuff with them, on the same stage. And it's just so exciting and wonderful. And I just have to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Without you being at my, listening to me for years, again, like you said, we've been brainstorming things forever and ever and ever and ever. You've helped me with every single step of the way. I mean, not only from, the retreats, the ceremonies, my Kundalini awakening. I mean, if I wasn't able to get a hold of you after that happened,
oh God.
I would have lost my mind. Just everything. So you've been there. And that's why I had to go dark, because I knew this was going to come from me. It had to be me.
Had to be you and your excitement.
Yeah.
Right?
And I had to, if I was going to do this, I needed to have the confidence and I needed to I just needed to do it by myself to trust. Exactly. To trust.
Which is the thing you've been working on ever since I've known you. And you do a great job, but this was just like, you seem to come in and do explosive things in your life, that you think you can't do. And I have never seen anyone put something like this together in such a comprehensive, beautiful way at a beautiful place.
Oh, thank you.
It's just incredible what you've wrought, and I can't wait for it. So let's talk about it just for a few minutes.
Yes.
So that people can get excited about it.
Okay, so really what I wanted to achieve was take what we were doing at the retreats and bring it out to more than just 30, 35 people, right?
Right.
So, and explore a large variety of these contact modalities. So, this type of event, I don't even know if there's ever been one like this in the Midwest. I mean, quite like it.
Not like this.
If so, it's been decades, it's been a really long time. And, we poor Midwesterners, we always have to travel hours on a plane, one direction or the other direction, in order to have face-to-face contact with some of these brilliant minds. So it was my mission to say, okay, come on, guys, let's come here and serve these poor underserved Midwesterners and this knowledge that is so important, especially in the Midwest, I think, and bring them all here. So I can't even believe that Jimmy Church is hosting this thing. I can't even believe it. He's the master of ceremonies. I mean, if there is, I can't think of a better person.
He's just the best person for it, you know.
I know. He
I'm
loves
so
it.
excited about it.
You know, he's from Waukegan, Illinois. So, I mean, he was born and raised here. His roots are Midwestern. So he's going to be hosting this whole thing, which is absolutely incredible.
What a dream.
Of course, Paula Harris will be there too. You know, she's legendary. She, you know, one thing I always say about Paula is when you talk to her, and I exchange messages with her a lot, and she'll just rattle off these cases and these sightings and these things, and she's been all over the world investigating.
Her whole life researching.
Yeah, it's amazing. She's just such a wealth of knowledge, and it's actually her 80th birthday, and I think it's the 6th of May, so it's just a couple days after the expo ends. So we're going to be celebrating her 80th birthday at this thing, which is just
so cool,
amazing. Who else? My gosh! So the headliner, the biggest. I knew that if I could connect with this man, this amazing soul, and he would grace us with his presence, that this thing was definitely happening, and that's Chris Bledsoe.
Absolutely.
So I've been talking to Chris for years just about his experiences and getting to know him on a personal level, and, you know, trying to get him up at our little retreat for a very long time. And, you know, he's always had something, you know, some major like Washington, D.C. thing or Vatican thing or
NASA,
exactly, NASA thing, you know, something. So it's prevented him. But this year it's working out, and he's going to be there, and he's going to be there for all 3 days. He's going to be there with his lovely wife Yvonne, his son Ryan, and Ryan's wife Jennifer.
Today's Yvonne's birthday.
Oh, it is. Oh, awesome! Happy birthday, Yvonne. So he'll be there, and he'll be doing a lot of different things, including participating in a Skywatch, where Kimberly will be leading that Skywatch, but Chris will be present. And I'm hoping for clear skies that night. That's going to be amazing. But even still, we'll still do our contact work indoors.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where we do it. It's going to be spectacular because those two are like lightning rods for the contact. It's so great. It's going to be so amazing.
So, so that's amazing. Dan Brule, I mentioned earlier, he is a pioneer in breath work. And again, breath work, I'm telling you, step up your meditation game, breath work. Dan Brule is, you know, he's been teaching breath work for 50 years. He's lived with Osho on the, you know, the Pacific Northwest. He's friends with Ram Dass. I mean, he has taught Olympians. He's taught Special Forces, Navy SEALs, elite athletes, transformed their
Tony Robbins.
Oh yeah, Tony Robbins. Exactly. I forgot. How could I forget about that?
Yeah.
And then thousands upon thousands of everyday people through the breath has helped them change their lives and, you know, step up their game professionally, personally.
Wait.
I can rattle on. You want me to go on? I can go on.
Yeah, there are a couple other people I know that I'm really looking forward. Jay, for instance. Can't wait to meet him.
Jay Bachachin, he has been, I don't use the word hunt, but he's been in contact with the Wisconsin Sasquatch in the Kettle Moraine here forever. He's got many documentaries out on his experiences. And like all of the rest of us, you know, it starts out just a hunt for Bigfoot or looking for Bigfoot, and it's completely transformed his life. And it is a sacred spiritual journey for him as well. He's local. He's got another documentary coming out. We have, of course, Gary Osborne, who lives actually in Wisconsin, which is amazing. He is such a genius. I can't even go there.
How do you describe what Gary does? I mean, I've tried to tell my own husband. I'm like,
I know. Well, he does so much, and he's so brilliant, and it's just
he is a genius.
Over my head. But
geometry.
Geometry. He's the one who deciphered Jim Peniston's binary code. That when Jim Peniston, Rendlesham Forest situation. The code that Jim received from the non-human intelligence was finally deciphered by Gary, and it all has to do with the pyramids and Giza and sacred geometry, and it just shows just the advanced intelligence that exists and puts
and that we're being visited by,
Yep.
they literally did that, they gave that information to Jim himself. And then years later, Gary translates it. It's just crazy how it all works. You mentioned Ray Hernandez.
Oh yeah, Ray Hernandez. He's got his life story coming out. His next book is going to be released any day now. But he coined the term contact modalities. He put together a huge, organization of research pointing and studied each one of these modalities and how they all, correlate with one another. We of course have Scott Wolter, who will be there. He'll be wowing us with the stories of and his research with the Knights Templar and their extraterrestrial connection. Haley Ramsey will be there. She'll be talking about from Ra to Ramsey, Egyptian, Great Britain, goddess veneration.
Yeah, divine feminine. How it all weaves in there.
Yep, we have Adam Apollo, who I've never met, who I'm so excited to see. He is like a visionary entrepreneur. And he's, he's a younger guy. I mean, but he's done so much in his life. He's spoken at the White House, the United Nations. He had in 2005 an experience where a galactic ambassador connected with him. And since then, he's been chatting away and constant communication with all sorts of different ET species. Yeah. So he's going to be there. He's also he's a DJ. So he's creating a special DJ set for our cocktail party, which is going to be amazing.
So much fun.
We have you, who's going to be there doing 2 unreal presentations, doing a quantum hypnosis live on stage. I can't even. For the first
time in over 50 years of practice.
Yes.
First time I'm doing it live on stage in front of people.
Oh my God.
A very special guest who will blow people's minds.
Oh, and I cannot wait to meet her. Wait to meet her. She's amazing.
We're all going to
we'll be channeling the Star Teachers.
Yes.
Which that will also be a live on stage thing too for everybody to enjoy.
And they'll be able to interact with them and ask
questions.
Great.
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
I can't wait.
Great. And then another one, which leads me to another young one. I say young one like I'm 1,000 years old, but I feel it. And I can't even with this one. Megan from Solar Glow Meditations.
Oh, wow.
She is a social media, phenom, and she talk about dowsing. Okay. So she works with the dowsing rods as opposed to a pendulum. And she talks to ascended masters, archangels. She takes questions from everybody. So she will be there working her magic. And she's just the kindest, most amazing person. Julie Adriani, who I mentioned earlier, will be there actually conducting a seance. So she's a physical medium and a psychic. She will be actually conducting a seance on Friday night and Saturday night, and a transfiguration seance where you will actually be able to witness live her spirit
changing into forms. Yeah, I cannot wait for that.
While she's in her seance cabinet.
So cool.
Yep.
So cool.
Wendy Gallant.
Oh, yes.
She'll be there too. And we have had the pleasure of being with her at our retreats.
Yeah.
She actually teaches and trains people, not only regular sighted people, but people going blind or who are blind, how to see without their eyes.
Without their eyes. I know.
Blindfolded.
Incredible process.
Incredible. I can't wait to learn that. I told her I need to be on her next list for her.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. So she'll be there speaking and teaching those methods. We have Yemi Janae from the Farsight Institute. If you don't know the Farsight Institute, get online and look up their stuff. She's their lead remote viewer. She is unbelievable.
Amazing.
You can look up some of the things that they have remote viewed their team, and you will be shocked. It's from the crucifixion of Jesus, all to 9/11 to, any kind of ancient or not so ancient mystery. They've viewed it. So all of it's live. It's all, recorded and it's online, and she'll be there teaching remote viewing. I can't believe it. I can't wait to meet her in person also. We have Benjamin Savage, who is a gong master. He'll be doing an amazing gong meditation on Saturday morning. Be a beautiful way to wake up the day. Of course, we have Kim Porth, who I've talked to. She'll be talked about already. She'll be doing the Skywatch and teaching people various methods of making connections and contact with non-human intelligence, but she'll also be doing a workshop too, teaching Kundalini yoga with mantra, and she's got all kinds of things wrapped up that she'll be letting us know what she'll be delivering that day.
So blissful. Oh my God.
He'll be there. We also have Dan Schrader. He's been a part of our retreat for, 5 years probably now. He'll be talking, doing a presentation about the hybrid ETs that he's connected with. Tons of video, tons of, photography and video captures. And he'll also be doing a crystal skull ritual for you crystal skull enthusiasts out there. And some people, you say, oh, well, I'm not a crystal skull enthusiast. Wait to see the ritual.
Yeah,
you will be after that. Exactly. Artur Demowitz will also be participating that, and he'll be doing some energy work. And then Alejandra Cleric will be on site too, and she'll be doing a presentation and a workshop regarding the plant medicine ayahuasca. She's been working with that medicine in Colombia for I think 40 years, 30 years, something like that. So she'll be teaching us the ins and outs of that.
Wow. So many great guests and presenters and workshops. Even me, and I'm, there already. I feel like I need to split myself into 4 different people just to be able to enjoy everything. So there's a huge menu of things, and I think something for everyone. You've really created a beautiful paradise of contact modalities.
Oh yeah, it is something for everyone, like you said, because in my discovering all of this, I realized that what's going to jam, what's going to resonate with one person is going to be completely different. So we have 3 conference rooms going on simultaneously. We'll have presentations, workshops, very experiential. I feel like Grant Cameron said with his book. With Desta Barnaby, he said his Contact Modalities book, he said that contact modalities, they have to be experienced to truly resonate with you. You could read about it all day long, but until you actually experience it,
you have to have a direct experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Something we've learned, and it doesn't matter what you're trying to learn, you have to have the direct experience to really have it integrate. So, well, Melissa, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for putting all this together for all of us. And you continue to do this throughout, I hope you'll continue to do it all throughout your lifetime. And I hope I'm still on the bus with you, even if I have to bring my walker.
That's right.
But
we'll cart you up here.
Cart me up there. But I want to ask you something that I asked my guests at the end of the podcast. And that is, do you have a message for the world, something that you want to just say to people? What's from your heart right now? What can you give us?
I think it always is. There is so much more to this life than meets the eye. And my mission, as I said earlier, is to be able to deliver that. I know that the world will be in such a better position in terms of our evolution as people realize the true nature. And a lot of people, they wait for it to be on the New York Times before they're going to believe in anything or take into consideration anything. Just do a little bit of research. Just tip your donut. Do a little bit of research, because you will be amazed. Your life will become so much richer, and you'll really, truly be able to manifest the life that you want. I mean, one big part of everything that we do, it's not just for the curious and the interest. It's fascinating. It's mind-blowing. But it's because you could use these experiences and what you learn here to make the most of this incarnation. Because we're all here. We're here whether we like it or not. And you can truly have the life that you love and that you want simply by being aware. That's all. So,
and surrendering.
And you have to definitely surrender, as difficult as that is sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, so we dip our toes in every once in a while, like the bee. But well, thank you, Mel. It's been such a pleasure, and I just can't wait to see what you create next. And I sure can't wait for our expo. For those of you who want to get in touch with you, where can they get in touch with you or find out more about this?
You can find out all about the expo on contactmodalitiesxpo.com, our website. You can feel free to email me at any time. My contact information is there. If you have any specific questions about what's happening at the expo, we have lots of different things, and I'd be more than happy to tell you, to point you in the right direction. But, I think a lot of people, once they get to the expo, you're going to have to make some choices. Like Deb said, you'll have to make some choices on what you want to.
It's a wonderful buffet.
Yeah, exactly. But
and don't you have a special going on right now for at least a little bit longer?
Yes. And it expires soon. So we have an early bird special right now for a 3-day pass. You get $50 off. It expires January 31st, though. So it's coming right up. So yes, please log on. Check out what we have happening and let me know if you have any questions. But
and can I say the overall price, if you miss the early bird, is still way less expensive than almost all of the major expos out there, and this is going to be just as comprehensive.
Absolutely. With the early bird discounts, it's $290 for 3 days. And I mean, not only do we have all the experiential workshops and the presentations going, we have amazing exhibitors that are going to be located there. So you could shop around. I mean, we have sky watches. We have Chris Bledsoe doing a fireside chat. We have an expert panel happening on the 3rd day. There's just so many different things where, a VIP lunch where you can actually have a very intimate luncheon with a variety of these experts where you could have one-on-one time with them and ask questions. There's so many little things like that. And then there's big presentations. It's going to be so much fun. I can't even believe it.
A huge thing. Well, Mel, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me on, Debsy.
Thanks for sharing everything with us. And just know that we're very grateful to you for being one of the hidden variables, not so hidden now, that make our world a better place. Love you so much.
Love you.
We'll see you at the expo.
All right. See you there.
Bye.